What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So for this horror trailer review, we are taking a look at McCurdy Point trailer, found footage horror from the Groundlings members. So this isn't a secret. I think everyone who's watched any of my content knows I'm not a big fan of found footage films. Now I know some are gonna be like, well, then why are you? I've heard this before. So why are you talking about this particular film? Why do you watch found footage films? Just because they're not particularly my favorite doesn't mean I'm not going to watch them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to cover them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to give any film or film series a chance to win me over, even though I'm not a fan of the format it's filmed in. Found footage happens to be one of those. Now, that doesn't mean I don't dislike all found footage films. That just means that it's not particularly my favorite subgenre or format when it comes to horror. And that doesn't mean that I don't like all of them. There are some found footage films I do quite enjoy. I do think that the story and how it plays out is done very well, and I do enjoy it. However, on the flip side, I think there's more of the found footage films that I don't necessarily care for versus the number that I do like. So just to preface that, just because I don't necessarily care for it doesn't mean I'm never going to just completely disregard the subgenre altogether and disregard any film that's filmed in this type of style. I'll still give it an opportunity to win me over. So with that said, because I know there's been some people have brought that to my attention that, well, then why did you wasted your time even watching it? Now you're talking about it. So I just want to set that foundation down first before we get into this one. That, again, just because you've heard me say that before doesn't mean I'm still not going to give each individual film or TV series an opportunity to change my mind and win me over for that particular, again, project. So getting into this one, as we just mentioned, McCurdy Point trailer. So let's get into the article details for this one. We got the trailer queued up. We'll jump over there, see what this one's going to look like. So Maine is the second most haunted state in America with over 800 sightings a year. In 2023, a record 1,364 people went missing. I think all that now tells me and confirms to me that I will never visit Maine. I've never been to Maine. Didn't know this particular statistic about Maine, but now reading the statistic, I'll never go to Maine. Just like there's many other places I will stay far away from, many activities I will not do that you learn from as a viewer and fan of horror films. There are just certain things once you see particular horror films you just don't do. When I first saw Wrong Turn, the original film, not taking a shortcut road into the backwoods, going camping, that's not going to happen. Just like when we start seeing the recent trailer for Dangerous Animals. Yeah, I'm not getting on a boat with some stranger that's going to potentially kidnap me and feed me to the sharks. And now in this one, I'm definitely not going to be visiting Maine because I don't need to be person 1,365 that's then gone missing. Again, I know that's a 2023 statistic, but still, I don't need to be added to that number. Several members of the fabled improv comedy trope, the Groundlings, use that as a jumping off point for the found footage horror film McCurdy Point. It follows four friends documenting a celebratory getaway to a remote cabin in the woods of Maine, only to find themselves pulled into something far more sinister. I mean, that right there, a remote cabin in the woods of Maine. I mean, if there's, we just uploaded, or we're going to be uploading our trailer review of The Nest, which also takes place in a very secluded cabin out in the woods. And the way that trailer opens up, it's like as far as the eyes can see, it is in every direction, it is nothing but woods. And as the camera pans out from all this and then looks down, you see this little tiny cabin, like almost like a pin. Like a pin drop in all of this mass wooded area, and nothing else is around it, to the point where they're using nothing but candles for their lighting and fire. They're like their wood fireplace. So when I read remote cabin in the woods, you're already setting yourself up for something not good. Something good cannot come from this. Only to find themselves pulled into something far more sinister. We have the casting here. We're not reading everybody's names. Not going to be doing that anymore. Give Continuing on, producer's names, not reading that. All right, so in a lot of horror movies, you can't wait until some characters get killed off, said Ghoul. It's something that we noticed because a lot of them are unlikable. We wanted to flip that and create characters you sympathize with. Hopefully audiences walk away feeling that like they lost some friends. I'd agree. I think there are a lot of horror movies, you're always waiting for that annoying friend, that annoying classmate, or the bully to get what's coming to them. They typically do, and they typically do within the first, I say, 15, 20 minutes, or they're the very first one to be taken out, and then everything starts to unravel. I don't think there's many horror films where you find that you're finding yourselves, oh, I really like that character, I hope they don't die. I think you go into horror films thinking everyone's can die. That no one is safe. And if you go into a horror film thinking that someone's going to be safe, you're going to be disappointed. So I'm okay with, hey, even though they're a likable character, if it's part of the story and they gotta go, they gotta go. We had a lot of versatility in both the cast and crew because we all have a background of working in improv comedy, added brothers. It helped us keep up with the always changing situations that always come up during a film production. McCurdy Point is currently on the festival circuit. Okay, so we have the trailer, no poster, so pretty short article for this one, pretty short synopsis. I'd imagine this here is going to be an image from the trailer. I can only imagine it will be. So all right, we're back at the top like we always get to. Now let's pull up the trailer and see what they're going to give us.
This is a true story. True story. It's really just a couple of sentences. But we're only here because I thought I was bidding on a hot tub. This is my son, from my son's middle school auction. I won this in an auction because I thought I was bidding on a hot tub. Okay. And when I found out that I actually got a trip to Maine, I just said, let the universe guide us.
Now, this whole area here, this is McCurdy Point. And by law, I've got to tell you, I've got cameras here, for your safety and mine. Grandmother owned a pub. If somebody ran up a tab, that was too high, she let them pay it off by playing a game for everyone's amusement. It was called the Devil's Smile. That was a take on Russian roulette. Instead, you'd aim at each other's palm, like that. Very intense.
So that played out a little bit differently than I thought it was going to. So that was a roughly 2-minute trailer. It felt more like a teaser than a trailer. How that it started off very slow, kind of just setting the tone, setting the these are the characters, this is the cabin, and then that last, I'd say, let me see here, it was probably the last. We were a minute 14 in, so we had probably 45 where the three friends were in the cabin when we were seeing like the night vision, and they each raised up a firearm and their opposite hand like in a circle. Not partaking in that game. And then from that point, then the next scene was one of the friends. He was wrapped in a blanket, looking underneath the table for the first time. It looked like something was going on with him. Looked like, I don't want to say he was possessed, but maybe going crazy or something. Then the trailer starts to pick up. We see we're back outside. The one friend has these marks on his neck, and then at that point, the trailer just starts to then just pick up, and we were just seeing an onslaught of various scenes thrown at us with quick cuts. So you really can't tell how it's transpiring, but we do see that same guy look under the table again, and as the camera looks at him, that image that we saw in the article seemed like that was the creature or whatever was jumping out at us. I'm not sure how this is going to play out. Usually in films like this, when we talk about hauntings, there's usually some sort of alien abduction type situation that plays out. I know there was a film, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I remember there was a film that came out a while back. The Fourth Kind was what it was called. I can't remember if it was 2009 or 2010 that film came out. That film had like that same feel where people were going crazy, but that one turned out to be, and people were going missing as well, and that one turned out to be an alien abduction film. And that was a mix of found footage and traditional filming. Great film. I think it's one of my favorite films when it comes to an alien abduction type science fiction horror. This one, though, you can't really tell. I mean, obviously there's some evil presence that's leaving those marks that might be possessing them. We obviously saw some sort of creature, entity, monster jump out at us. We also saw the still image of it. But it's hard to tell with this type of trailer, especially with the end of it, so many cutscenes, how this is going to play out. I imagine when we saw the scene when they were at the bar and they were hearing the story, and then we go to the scene with the night vision with the firearms all kind of standing in a circle. I'm wondering if at that point that's where everything starts to take a turn, and we saw like the cabin was shaking, the lights were flickering and all that. So that's where I'm wondering if this is going to be some type of alien abduction, and they're just not alluding to that in the trailer. So I'm interested to see this one. Again, I don't know. Let me go back to the article details quickly here. I'm not sure, just to double check if we had a date for this one. We don't have a date for this one yet. Again, I think it mentioned that it was currently being, it says McCurdy Point is currently on the festival circuit. So no dates on this one, when it will come out, and how it will come out. If it's just going to be a limited theatrical release plus digital, if it's going to go right to streaming, and then if it does go right to streaming, where will it land? I think something like this would probably do very well on like Shudder, maybe. I don't see, or maybe even Netflix might find its audience there. Outside of that, I'm not sure if this one would really find an audience anywhere else. I think if it were just dropped like on Prime or Hulu, especially Hulu, I think it would get lost in Hulu. That's just my opinion. So anyways, that's going to do it for this horror trailer review for McCurdy Point. Again, once we know more information on this one as far as when it will drop, theater or digital, we'll make sure to let you guys know. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you thought about it. Also, let me know, are you a fan of found footage films, or are you kind of like me where you're not necessarily an overall fan of the subgenre, but there are films within the found footage genre that you do enjoy. So let me know in the comment section. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next one. Later.